Hey everybody, good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. My name is Brent McAlister. I am the purchasing manager for KEH Camera. As part of my duties, I run a team of 6 buyers, excluding myself, that we travel all over the country, working with different camera stores, going to see people that have large collections of equipment. It's surprising how many people there are that do that. And we work with camera stores. When we work with camera stores, we offer to evaluate your equipment on the spot. That means we typically get there when the store opens and leave when they close, just looking at equipment. So me personally, I've seen thousands and thousands of cameras. I see something new all the time, which is always kind of refreshing and exciting. But to me, my personal favorite cameras are some of the more common cameras that you guys probably are familiar with. And I just happen to have a couple of them here today that I'll show you about. So, being a geek and not throwing anything away, I have my very first camera. It was given to me by my grandmother before we went on a big trip across the state of Texas. We actually had a lot of fun that summer. We actually toured caves all across the Southwest and went to a lot of them. Carlsbad probably being my favorite one I went to. It was just massive. But I basically took that trip with my Polaroid SX70. My grandmother bought it for me just before we left. It's a fantastic camera. I've always loved this camera, and I've still got pictures. I was running around trying to find some so I can show everybody a couple of them, but I have no idea where that photo album is. But this camera came out in 1976. It was a great little camera, relatively inexpensive. The pictures were the downside to it, meaning that they were a little bit more expensive to do. This camera worked out real well for me. I can't tell you how many pictures I've taken with this, and I'm so excited to see that, like the Impossible Projects, Polaroid originals getting back into the game and making the film. It just kind of gives this camera a whole new life, and it's really exciting. The really cool thing that I figured out later on about this was how you can manipulate the film, meaning you can push it around, design on it. It gives you a lot of flexibility. It's just a really cool camera to actually work with and play with. It's very, very basic. You have the shutter release, you have the exposure compensation dial, and then your viewfinder. This is not an SLR camera, so you're not looking through the lens of the camera. You are looking through the viewfinder on the side of it. The red button, iconic, and also the iconic rainbow. Very simple to use. That's why I took so many pictures with it. My mom pretty much hated this camera because the film was so expensive. So I feel your pain now. So that's my first camera that I've ever gotten and really used and really loved. So I'm just excited that I'm actually have still the original camera. By far, one of my favorite cameras is the Nikon F3HP. This camera I've hauled all over the place. It's just sexy. I mean, look at it. It just doesn't get a whole lot better than that. I try to take care of my equipment. You can kind of see where I've somewhat babied this. I've got a little bit of brassing on it. It just has character, and it's simple to use. Simple meaning that one of the things I really liked about this camera was that it had an aperture priority mode. You can see on the dial it has got an A. Basically, if you put that into the A mode or aperture priority, you can adjust the aperture and it would automatically adjust the shutter speed. It's kind of pretty much how I learned how to shoot, really working with exposure. Unfortunately, it's not as fast to learn on. And the reason I say that is because once you take your pictures, you've got to wait a couple days to get your film back to make sure you did a good job. So that's one advantage that digital has, that it can really kind of get you going. But, you know, I can only hope that everybody's trying out manual mode since we have a lot more time these days. So, you know, get out that old camera, get some film. It's still readily available. I shoot it all the time. I really had to be careful though, because I do a lot of traveling for my job. So I went through probably about 5 or 6 airports, only taking a couple pictures at a time, because what I really liked about this camera and why I went back to it was that film slows you down. And it just really made me compose the shots more, because I knew that I had to get it right the first time. And that's what I've really appreciated about going back to film cameras. And it's just really kind of opened up and gotten me to be a much better photographer in general. So just take them out, play with them, use these things. And just a word of advice, you know, since I look at these cameras all the time at these buying events, I would highly recommend getting these things out and running it through the paces every couple months, every 6 months. Cameras to me are a lot like cars. You don't use them, you let them sit, things go wrong. So the best thing you could do is just run it through its paces, play with it, get it out, show it to your friends, run around with it for a day or two, shoot a roll of film, just get out there and play with it. They like to be used. So by far my favorite camera I've ever owned. Some of the cameras that I also like that I would love to have, I just don't have. The Pentax K1000. I mean, you can't beat it for its basic settings, basic use. Fully manual. You have a little matchstick dial or meter inside of it, so you can actually check your exposure plus or minus. So it's a camera that's great to make you learn on. So these do have their disadvantages though. They are a little bit larger, they are a little bit heavier, but if you carry it around with you, you won't miss a shot. So in the digital age, I'd say 1999, 2000s is when I really started getting into some of the digital cameras that are out there. Very, very basic at the time. This was my first digital camera I ever got. It's a Kodak DC camera. Actually, it's a DC 215 zoom. Not the fastest lens in the world, f4 to f4.8. It's got 2 power optical zooms, so it was enough to get you going. But it's so funny to think back and look at these cameras and how amazed we were when they first came out and the opportunities they opened up for us for any type of industry. We sold hundreds of these when I was in sales selling them. I finally got an opportunity to buy one. I got a great deal. So this 1 megapixel camera, I think I paid $400. I'm just kidding. It's not a great deal. But it's still kind of cool to go back and look at some of the pictures. They're not great. I'm so excited that I've backed up everything. That's one important thing if you have digital cameras. Make sure you're backing up all your pictures to an external hard drive. And then for you guys that are very serious about not losing it, I'd get a second one just in case. Memory's cheap these days, so it's no big deal. Oh, speaking of that, this camera, being 1 megapixel, came with a 4 megabyte card. Let me tell you something, that was a lot of pictures. I think you could take about 120 pictures with that before you had to download it. So, you know, it is what it is. It's a really cool camera. I got a lot of use out of it. I took this all over the place when I was traveling. So it's a great small camera at the time. It's not that small, to be honest with you, compared to some of the cameras that are out there. Actually, almost all the cameras that are out there that do the same thing. But very well built, runs off 4 AA batteries. Can't beat it. So, a couple other cameras before we end this. These cameras I still use today. I still got film in them. I take them out all the time. It's small enough that I can travel with, especially when I'm not flying, because guys, the X-rays will damage your negatives, and it is an accumulative effect. So just keep that in mind if you're planning on a vacation. I know a lot of people send film to where they're going to be going. You can actually send it to the hotels. Hotels usually will have no problem at all with that. Just give them a call and let them know that the package is coming that way. But by far, one of my favorite cameras that is going to be the Olympus Stylus. This is just a basic little point and shoot camera. Incredibly nice, incredibly small. It is literally a pocket-sized camera. So you can kind of keep it with you wherever you go. Really simple to work with. Incredibly sharp lens. Easy. And it's pocket size, so you can kind of keep it with you everywhere. This camera was pretty much designed off of the very first clamshell case camera that Olympus made, which was the Olympus XA. Fantastic camera. It is full manual, which is nice, or you do have some automatic modes on it. It just is a little bit smaller than this, but they tried to get everything in one. With the XA, you can actually add on a little external flash onto the side of it. So that kind of gives you a little bit of flexibility. It also helped get that flash a little bit further away from the lens to help you eliminate some of the red eye when you're film photography days. Right after that, Olympus came out with the Olympus Stylus Epic. Another fantastic camera. Much smaller. I shouldn't say much. It's a little bit smaller. The big advantage here is that it has a 2.8 lens. So keep an eye out for these. We get these in on a regular basis. It is an incredibly popular camera now, so it does come in and out all the time. Quite honestly, I might recommend setting up a wish list on our website, or get in touch with one of the sales guys if there's any of these cameras that you're looking for that we just don't have in stock. When you call in, they can actually put you on a list, and they'll start going through the equipment when they have downtime. And if something pops up, they can give you a call and let you know that's there and give you an opportunity to buy it. So that's kind of go with anything on our website. If you don't find it, doesn't mean it's not necessarily there. You might give us a call. We'd love to talk to you guys. But a great little camera, and I couldn't recommend it more. As you can kind of see behind me, I've got some different cameras. These are all cameras that I've kind of collected through the years. Most of them have been given to me by family members, friends. I'm kind of that guy in the family that's always been into photography. And I've always had friends and family members give me cameras. One that's really cool that I really like is the little brownie right here. That's actually my mom's camera. She gave that to me. She used that a lot when she was a kid and in her teens growing up. It's just a fantastic camera. I found out there's some film out there available for it that you can find. It gets pre-cut or cut for you. So you kind of keep an eye out for that. A lot of these cameras can be given a second life these days because more and more people are getting into them. I don't have anything against digital. I love digital photography. It's great. But just kind of keep in mind that there's other cool cameras out there. Check out our site. We've just got a plethora of stuff that's going on there. We just bought a huge estate in Florida. It was really kind of cool. It filled up a whole moving van. And in that estate, it was primarily 4x5, medium format, large format cameras. If that's your thing, take a look at our website, see if you can find some of those pieces, really good stuff out there. So I really hope everybody's enjoyed this. I've had a lot of fun showing off some of my cameras that mean a lot to me. It's always kind of fun to be able to do that. I know you guys out there, everybody, probably has a good bit of a camera collection. Do me a favor, take a picture of it, hashtag it, KEH at home. I would love to see some of your pictures. I'd love to see some of your collection. And if you do that, we'll be able to hopefully pick some people out of those groups and post them on our stories or Facebook. So it'd be a good chance for you to kind of show off some of your really cool stuff. Also, don't forget to check out our blog. We've got a lot of incredible content there. We just did a video. It should be just that way, done by Matt Eldridge. It's on how to professionally clean your camera equipment. I would highly recommend taking a listen to it because there's a lot of people out there with a lot of fingerprints on the back of their lenses that just don't know. So take a moment, look at your camera, inspect it, get them out, run them around the house, take some pictures, share those pictures. Once again, hashtag us. Also, if you want to follow me, you can do that at crazy_talker. I do a lot of pictures as I travel around the country to different buying events. I do one, and I've actually made a hashtag called Headshots Across America. So check that out. It's basically this with whatever is cool in the background. So you might get tired of seeing this ugly face, but in that case, follow it anyway. All right, guys, thank you so much. KEH at home. Don't forget, hashtag your pictures. I want to see them.